It's very difficult. When I speak with David on the phone and I hear his voice, and if it's a little raspy, I begin to wonder, is this it? Does he have a cold? Is this the beginning of a series of illnesses?
Most of my friends are infected with HIV. The friends that I have that aren't infected with HIV are the lovers of people who are infected with HIV, so that everybody who's around me is either probably going to die or suffer even more, loss.
I kept rehearsing how to say I have AIDS. So I'm sitting there, I have AIDS, I have AIDS, I have AIDS. So this went on for a few minutes, and I came out of the bathroom and I tried to put it in the back of my mind, I did one of these, I feel all right, I got on the scale every week, no weight loss, and I didn't tell a soul.
We knew very little about it back then, and I remember sitting in my living room reading a pamphlet from GMHC, what defined AIDS, and running down the list one by one. And you had to have 2 opportunistic infections, and he had 2 of them. And I remember him saying, "Oh my God, Billy, I've got AIDS."
In 1981, a group of 6 gay men in New York City decided to get together and talk about the fact that a lot of their friends and lovers were getting sick with a mysterious disease that very few people knew anything about.
GMHC AIDS hotline, can I help you?
The first service of GMHC was, in fact, that attempt to get information to people. It was someone's home phone answering machine.
But I think it's important that you begin to reach out. There are many things that you can do to make your life a lot more pleasant and a lot easier.
And we've really built on that. That home answering machine has now become the world's largest AIDS hotline and gets over 80,000 calls a year.
So many times I have watched life ebbing away from someone that was much too young to die and really shouldn't have been dying at all. And that experience stays with me all the time. I don't forget it.
Of course, off that home phone answering machine came a lot of different calls, some of them from people who were indeed in the hospital and very sick, and they said, "Look, I need someone to come help me. I need someone to take care of me." And out of that came GMHC's Client Services Program and the Buddy Program.
And I was absolutely at loss. I didn't know where to go, to whom I could talk, what to do about it. Stacy is my buddy. I live by myself, and it was somebody which I could rely on at any time of the day or the night.
It's so hard because my pride and my ego, I wanted to work. I've been working since I was 16 years old. I didn't want nothing from nobody. But my reality was, I hated to admit it at the time, I needed help.
It took 2 weeks to get the test back. So you have 2 weeks of contemplation. Shall I call the doctor back? When she calls me to come in, shall I go? And that's what I pretty much discussed with my family.
It's the human contact that is the most important thing. People come in one way and they tend to leave in another way.
Okay. Do you think any time in the future you might want to tell anybody else, or you're pretty content?
I'm content. There's no reason to. Unless someone has a cure, then I'll talk.
As a rule, as the interview proceeds, people calm down and begin to laugh and begin to cry and begin to talk about their pain.
These are usually very hard cases. Oftentimes, you have a parent coming to us who's really usually quite young, 20s, 30s, and they say to us, "I know I'm not going to live very much longer, but I really want something to be done about my children." And what we'll try to do is whatever wishes they have, we'll try to implement them. We'll try to make sure that the child goes with either the grandmother, or if there's no grandmother, the neighbor, or someone who will love and take care of their children.
Many people, of course, that have come here passed away, so that now there's lots of newcomers. I'm very grateful that I've been coming here for a long time, but I can tell you when I first started, almost all of the people that were here then have passed on, so now there's more women, and I think this is great. And, you know, people are living longer, which is a blessing, so I think some of the newcomers that come have more of a chance.
He was lucky, though, if you want to call it luck. His was in the cerebellum, which is the motor skills area. So his thought pattern, his thought process, his reasoning, everything was intact. The problem was he couldn't sit, he couldn't stand, he couldn't feed himself, he couldn't toilet himself, and he was virtually a prisoner in his own body. He could do nothing for himself.
I lost my son on May 19th, 1988. As with everyone else, in about 30 seconds, the whole world changed.
You know, I'm positive, and I haven't told my mother. I haven't told any of my family. And a part of it is because I don't know how they're going to handle it.
How long are you positive?
I've known for like 4.5 years.
It's part of our families, you know, and it's getting worse. It's getting a lot worse.
I knew very little about the GMHC, just very peripherally, and that there was this terrible illness and so on, and then all of a sudden this terrible illness was part of my life.
When I first came here and condoms entered the picture, I giggled. I thought it was a very funny thing for this woman to be doing, you know? And how can I tell my friends that what do you do at GMHC? I wrap condoms. You know, it was very funny. I no longer find it funny. While I'm working with them, I feel that I'm saving lives.
Welcome to Eroticizing Safer Sex. My name is Torrance Allen and I work with Gay Men's Health Crisis. My question to you then is, what do you think about when you hear the word safer sex? What comes to mind?
Negotiation.
Okay. Anything else?
Monogamy.
Welcome to Living with AIDS. Greg is living with HIV, and tonight we're just going to chat with him about what it's like.
We created this workshop is because a lot of people came to us saying there needed to be some place where we could get together and talk in a safe space the way we wanted to talk without having to worry about censoring our thoughts or saying only the things we thought people wanted to hear.
I wasn't really in any logical, sensible state of mind to explain it to her really well. But the conversation progressed on to, well, I assume this means that you're coming home. It's like, well, no, Mom, there's only one, at this time, there was only one drug that's approved, and it's AZT, and it's not available in Oklahoma. It's where my parents live. It's only available in New York. So I've got to stay here. And she says, well, but what about when you become ill? And I says, well, Mom, when I become ill, I'll deal with it. She says, well, how will we get the body back?
Hey, I don't know what you come to do.